Next up, this next presentation is near and dear to my heart. In 1998, there was a law passed in Congress that said if you had a drug conviction, you couldn't get any financial aid. And that sparked an entire student movement. And myself and a number of other people joined together and founded Students for Sensible Drug Policy when we were in college in order to try and end that law. And you know, sometimes it's an interesting thing that happens with politics, which is that sometimes, you know, passing a law that's against you is the thing that ultimately galvanizes an entire movement that then goes on to change other things and become really the foot soldiers in this political effort. And also, so many of the cannabis companies and political organizations are getting their staffs from people who were trained in Students for Sensible Drug Policy. And so it's a really near and dear thing to my heart and to so many other people here. And so it's really great pleasure to introduce two of my favorite people in the whole world, Betty Aldworth and Stacia Cosner from Students for Sensible Drug Policy.
Team for having us here today. For the very few of you in this room unfamiliar with Students for Sensible Drug Policy, I couldn't be more excited to introduce our organization to you. You're already familiar with some of the results of our work, as Troy mentioned. Many of the leaders of the drug policy reform movement and the legal cannabis industry, and the legal cannabis industry are SSDP alumni, and so many of the people in this room are already donor members of the SSDP family.
Last time I stood in front of this group, SSDP was in a tough spot. Today, I'm so proud to inform you that we're in a much better place. Thanks in no small part to those of you in this room who stepped up when we needed your support the most. The SSDP staff is the largest it's ever been in our 16-year history. We have a 6-month operating reserve. We're in a bigger, better office space. Our sources of funding are more diverse, and our accounting and compliance procedures are more solid than ever before. Now that we're back on stable ground, we get to turn our focus back to the heart of our work, our programs. In addition to continuing to improve our outreach work, taking students who are passionate about ending the drug war and turning them into well-oiled policy change machines, we're also embarking on a few new exciting programs.
This year, we piloted our new campus campaign, experimenting with the strategies that will lead us to victories in 2016. We set ambitious goals to grow both our programs and our impact. And let me be as humble as I can about this. We knocked it out of the park.
We went from 1 struggling chapter in DC to 6, and made 12% of the overall voter contacts for the Yes on 71 campaign. In Florida, we went from communicating with about 150 students to more than 3,200. All told, our national network of students and alumni, sure, give it up. Our national network of students and alumni interacted with more than 41,000 voters in Alaska, Oregon, Florida, and DC. We met nearly every goal, and in some cases exceeded them by orders of magnitude.
Florida turnout was likely double what it was in 2010, and in Alaska, the margin of victory was about equal to the number of phone calls that we made. Those things might be coincidences, but even if they are, the campus campaign was still worth it, because we've so substantially strengthened our presence and our ability to create change. Right now, we have students on the ground in Florida talking about how to pass medical marijuana legislation in the next 2 years, and students in DC are introducing life-saving policies on their campuses. And in a post-prohibition society, marijuana policy reform is going to be a gateway to responsibly and sustainably incorporating marijuana into our lives, as well as our regulatory models, but also a gateway to broader drug policy reform that will improve public health and safety.
911 Good Samaritan policies, also known as medical amnesty policies, prevent overdose by removing the fear of punishment from life-threatening emergency medical situations. And one of the most important tools in combating the rising opioid overdose problem is increasing access to the overdose reversal drug naloxone. In Georgia, SSDP chapter leader Jeremy Sharp has been a key advocate voice in the new legislation, which has already saved lives.
SSDP alumni are also becoming integral parts of businesses like yours in the emerging legal cannabis market. They're playing major roles in enacting the policies that allow your businesses to exist. And there are, of course, many prominent SSDP alumni in this room.
They're also founding companies like Runa, an herbal tea now sold in Whole Foods. They're interning at the White House and working for Google. We even have an SSDPer who's deputy sheriff of his town in South Dakota. They bring with them messages and skills that they learn from us, which allows our message to reach audiences well outside of the marijuana bubble. During his deployment to Afghanistan, Eric Goods wanted to help his fellow service members in need, so he spent the last year of his service in an Army Transitional Medical Unit. There, his eyes were open to the physical, mental, and physiological horrors brought on by war. Eric told us, quote, "Upon leaving the service and concluding my short military career, I wanted to be a part of an organization that was serious about tackling the failed war on drugs, and one that wasn't afraid to get their boots dirty either." His chapter at the University of California, Davis is now one of our most active in the Pacific region.
A senior at Northwestern University, where she founded an SSDP chapter in her freshman year, Frances Fu is already a master at engineering systemic change from the inside out. She serves on Northwestern's Alcohol Coalition and the Campus Coalition on Sexual Violence. She's also Pan-Hellenic president, where she's challenging institutional racism and sexism. In her role as an intern with Tesla Law Offices in Chicago, she worked on Illinois cannabis licenses and applications. And no, you can't hire this one because she's coming to work for SSDP if I have anything to say about it. Amanda Mueller from Florida State worked with Forefront Advisors and then went on to the North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition, where she worked on overdose prevention. Today, she's working for the state of Florida in their HIV/AIDS prevention program. She's also chair of our board.
When I first met Sam Tracy back in 2010 as a freshman, I knew he was a rock star. Our chapter at UConn became one of the largest and most active in our network under his leadership. He was elected student body president at one of the largest schools in the nation. Sam has gracefully and skillfully served as chairman of our board of directors over the last 2 transitional years. He's now working for alumnus Chris Crane at Forefront Advisors, providing advice and support to marijuana businesses who are breaking into newly legal markets.
We're formalizing our leadership pipeline by inviting alumni back into the SSDP fold for mentorship and advisory positions. We're also launching a major new career services program, bringing SSDPers to the burgeoning marijuana industry through our guided full-service internship program and a job board. We're giving employers unprecedented access to the smartest, most forward-thinking employees with which to fill their ranks.
Since we last had the opportunity to pitch this group, our core programming and values remain the same. We've supported our 3,000 student activists in their efforts at reform. We executed a wildly successful conference in Washington, D.C. this September with 400 students, alumni, and supporters coming together for a weekend of learning, training, and networking, followed by a congressional lobby day. We've created a more robust program platform so that students are getting more out of their SSDP experience, all while remaining impressively lean.
We've undergone transformational changes that are preparing us for the tumultuous years ahead, with all the strength, responsiveness, and ingenuity that they are going to require. But most fundamentally, we're taking a newly entrepreneurial approach to ripe opportunities that are presenting themselves. We've done all of this on just $500,000 this year, and we've never been in a better position to leverage the student voice for real and lasting change, as long as we are able to adequately fund our growth opportunities.
Investing in SSDP today doesn't just accelerate the pace of reform. It also ensures that as your business grows, more of the people responsible for leading and regulating it are dedicated to growing a sustainable cannabis industry. Many people in this room are already members of the Sensible Society, our donor club which allows you to make tax-deductible one-time or monthly gifts in support of our work and our network. Now we'd like to take a few moments to recognize ArcView members who are also SSDP donors.
I'll ask you to raise your hand if you're a sensible superstar, giving more than $500 monthly or more than $6,000 so far this year. Excellent. And James, thank you. And how about our sensible sponsors, giving more than $250 monthly or more than $3,000 so far this year? There we are. Thank you all so much for your support. And how about those of you who are giving at any level already this year? Many more hands. Wonderful. Thank you so much for all your support. It is, of course, our goal today to bring more of you into the SSDP family. Join us as a sensible superstar or a sensible sponsor. Invest in the future of drug policy reform when Troy invites you now. Thank you.